Oh, these are dreadful numbers. I really hate doing this in a way, but whether you like it or not, I mean, I think you have to deal with history. It's wrong to just turn your head on it and stuff. These are casualties. And I'm trying to put World War II in perspective, how enormous that was. 3,000. That's roughly the number of Americans that were killed in the 9/11 attack on the Twin Towers when they came down. And when you think about the impact that that event had upon the United States and the world, I mean, it was huge. It was major. Now, I could have put in there up here the number of total American casualties in the First Persian Gulf War. I think there were about 115. It was, that's because of the development of quote-unquote smart weapons and all that. But anyway, 55,000 Americans. Now that's the number of Americans, more or less, that were killed. Americans that were killed in the war in Vietnam. 10 times that many Vietnamese, probably. I don't know. But in Washington, if you go to that monument and see the names on that black wall, you'll see the names of about 55,000 Americans. This number, 80,000, that's how many people were killed like that, more or less, in Hiroshima, in one instance, with the dropping of that atomic bomb. Nagasaki, the second one, 60,000. And I probably should have explained that I think Americans, I usually try to explain to my students, I used to, why would the United States do that? And the standard American version of that, it was to save lives. Because they had to, there was no way to get the Japanese to surrender. This was a nation of people who would rather die than surrender. So how do you convince them that they have to surrender? That's the American standard take on that. But one of the things I'd like to point out about that is I didn't know until very late in life about the firebombing of Tokyo. Well, Tokyo had been, incendiary bombs had been dropped on Tokyo, and basically that whole city had burned. And the number of casualties, civilians, that died there is really unknown. It could have been as high as 2 million in that firebombing. They don't actually, there's no way to know, but Tokyo was a wooden city, and it was burned. And this matter of firebombing, oh, this is such dreadful stuff. But back in Europe, Coventry, England was firebombed by the Germans, and then Dresden, Germany, was later firebombed by the English and Americans, and I think there's some thinking that was needless revenge on the part of the Allies at that point. Horrible subject. I mean, all of this is horrible. This number 2 million, possibly, that's how many died. That's like the highest I ever heard of an estimate of the number of Japanese that were killed in the firebombing of Tokyo. It was probably not that high. That's also the highest number that I've ever heard on the estimate, brace yourselves for this, of the German women that were raped by the Russian troops when they came in with the fall of Berlin and the fall of Germany in general. It probably wasn't that high. But sexual crime as part of warfare, oh, this is such a dreary subject. And I'd once heard that of that number of women, something like 1 out of 10 died. Or committed suicide. I think that's what it was. Later committed suicide as a result of it. This is horrible stuff. But I'm trying to make sure that you know, World War II is not just, oh yeah, it was a war. Oh, 6 million is maybe the most famous number of all, and that's the Holocaust. That's the number that's always held up there as the number of Jews, but gypsies and gays as well, that were killed in the concentration camps. 6 million. Look at where we're coming here. 20 million, I think that's the estimate of how many people died in World War I, but that's also roughly how many Russians died in World War II. I think it was 24 million Russians, they think, died in World War II. 3 times as many as the German casualties. And then finally, 55 million total World War II casualties. It's staggering, and they'll never know. I mean, in terms of human lives, unquestionably the most destructive war that the world had ever seen. In terms of percentage of world population, I guess maybe there was a worse, but just staggering. And I'm glad, in a sense, that I'm past that, because I didn't want to talk about that. But that's the reason why I feel that I must. It must not be forgotten.